Hey everyone, Joel here, featuring Ian's King Ranch F-150. After you wash your truck or vehicle, you might notice it's still kind of rough and bumpy. Or on a white vehicle, you always see those little orange specks, typically on the rear or lower sections of the vehicle. Let's go in and see what those look like. So even though I've done some of this yesterday, you can see some orange specks there. There's one. Look at this big nasty. Not that, this one here. So it's usually around your wheels in the rear. And why is that? Well, hot iron particles come off your brakes. So paint is really thin layers of plastic. So hot iron particles fly up, stick to the paint, and kind of embed themselves. And then you'll see the rust start forming. That orange stuff is forming around the iron because those iron particles are sitting on white paint. Any moisture, dew, rain, or moisture in there will help that rust. White is notorious for it because as white sits out in the sun, it doesn't evaporate the water quickly like a dark colored vehicle. So I'm going to show you how we remove those spots. And this is part of my wash, clay, and seal package, my number 2 package. And if you have a white vehicle, this really should be done every year. So yesterday I washed the vehicle, did a bunch of decontamination with this step, but I'm coming out today before I go on and polish it. I'm seeing some more of those particles. So here we used to use clay bars, but now we use clay sponges or clay towels. This has a perforated synthetic membrane on it that will come across those surfaces when a lubricant is applied and help kind of shear or pluck those iron particles off the paint. So I'm going to lubricate the area. And then that came right off. So I'm going to wet back here. Again, you only do this on clean, washed surfaces. Now for the second step, let's melt away those rust deposits. This is DIY Details Iron Remover. Sodium thiglycomate, I think I'm saying it right. This stuff smells like a skunk. But now we've got the main iron particle off. We're going to go ahead and wet the surfaces. And what's cool about this, when we use it on wheels or painted surfaces, you will see those little rust spots start to bleed red or wine or blood color. It is melting the pieces of metal or rust particulates. All right, let's take you in close and see if it's working. Do you see any red, bleeding, wine action? Yep, there it is. A big one there. So it is kind of melting away that rust or iron. They call it iron remover. Let's look around to the back. Couple big ones there. Look at all those up in there. And we're going to let this work for a couple minutes. Try not to let this dry. This isn't not a cheap chemical, but we want to get this step and this process done correctly. Look at all those spots. Any over here? Not really, not too bad. There's one running there. We'll let that keep working. And then we're going to rinse that off. Now we have really deep cleaned that paint and gotten those spots off. Because if we left all of those on there and tried to machine polish those areas, those little particles will be getting stuck in our polisher pad and producing scratches or marring, which is a counter effect of what we're trying to do. The next step we'll do once this dries is buff polish this paint to get it really jeweled, and then we'll go into the ceramic coating later. Now after the vehicle is dry, we are using a polish pad, cordless polisher, and look how beautiful, shiny, bright, clean, white this is. And this is before any ceramic coating is even on there. So we will jewel those surfaces, make them beautiful, and then lock that look in with a hard, very thin layer of glass ceramic coating.